Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, Tim Keys, and I'm back with another video. And today I wanted to show you something. So if you've been using Reason for a long time, probably since version 7, if you wanted to take samples and, work it out to do chops, you would have to pick your waveform, put it in your sequencer, time stretch it by clicking that control and then dragging it across your bars, then turn around and hit slice edit, but define the transients or adjust it as you like. Then you would right click, go to bounce, bounce to Rex Loop, put that in, open up a Dr. Octo Rex, throw your sample in or now your newly created Rex file, and once you did that, sheesh, I'm messing up right now. Once you did that, that's essentially how you were able to create your chops. So yeah, but now you no longer have to do that because Reason is going to implement its new sampler called the Mimic. And what the Mimic does is it allows you to do essentially the same thing, but it decreases your workflow time. Because all you got to do now is load this up, put your sample in, drag and drop, and there we go. C3. And you can play it through. And so right now I got this set up as a pitch, but you can set it up in slice. And if you go to slice and you look at your keys icon, located right here, you can do the same thing. So I'm gonna say right out the gate, thank you, Reason Studios, for finally doing this. Better late than never. No, because this is nice. When Reason 7 came out, that was one of the points of contention that they had, where yes, they implemented the features. You could take your loops, work it in the sequencer, find your cursor, your markers, and adjust them as such to adjust the timing. But what you couldn't do, like you didn't have a device that just lets you do everything in one box. You still had to use recycle. And yeah, that was kind of a pain in the butt because as cool as recycle was for its time, recycle was becoming outdated. And with the advent of other samplers such as Serato Sampler, Reason didn't really have anything to address this issue. So this finally does that. You have a singular device in Reason that's native to Reason where you can not only chop in your samples and do break beats, but you can also process samples and vocals and everything else. So what I'm gonna do is do a basic overview, and I'm gonna do a comparison to how this stacks up with other samples or other samplers. So real quick, I'm gonna go in here and it's going to pitch mode. I'm going to take out this sampler because you've seen how this works. Now I'm going to throw in. So now I'm in pitch mode. In pitch mode, we'll play your sample. Pitch mode will play a sample just like a basic sample playback device. It doesn't need to find the chops, or it won't necessarily find the chops or the transients of a sample. It's simply used to play back the, whatever sample or waveform that you put in here. But what's nice is they finally give you these features. They have tape, advanced, melody, vocal, and granular. And tape is your basic standard sample playback. Start on the key of C3, and then as you go lower, you get that slow effect. And as you go higher up the keys, you get the chipmunk sound if you're using vocals. But then you have advanced, melody, and so forth. And basically, these are different time stretch algorithms. So in advance, so that's nice because now when you hit the keys at the same time, you don't have to deal with those artifacts of, speeding up, slowing down, the chipmunk sound, the funky sound. You can take your sample and play chords, which, gives a lot more life to your one-shot libraries. Also, they do melody. Melody is similar. It's just a more like a higher version. So kind of like in other samplers like Contact, where they have like your basic time stretch, and then like they have the higher grades. Like the higher up you go, the more memory it's going to use, but the cleaner that sample is going to be. It's going to take out more artifacts and so forth. The nice thing is when you get the vocal, you got this format. So you have that, and that again, it will, adjust the tone of your sound. And what's nice about that is you don't need to run vocals through something like Neptunes. Like if you just want to do a one shot of a phrase like this and then run it through and then fix pitch, what it does is it'll put your note right where it needs to be on the key of C. So it'll balance everything out for you, which is nice. It's one less thing you got to worry about. So there's that. And then granular is obviously like you get more of the granular-esque synthesis parameters. And as you hit the spread, it'll widen out the sound. Yeah, it's kind of loud. I apologize, but you get the point. So, yeah, these 4 or 5 different algorithms, they do a lot, and I think it's long overdue. I'm glad that Reason finally implemented this. Not that something like Grain couldn't do it. Like you could do one shots in Grain. I've explained that in another video. You could even take single cycle waveforms and you can stretch them out so they can play across the keyboard. However, it's not quite the same as what they do here. But it can be done if you leave your setting on long grains, or even like the grain oscillator. You can get more of turn your sample more into like a wavetable, and it'll work through that sample like a wavetable in this setting. So that's good. But not only do you get that for your samples, You also have the ability to utilize up to 8 slots. And you've already seen slice in action. Multi-slot is similar in that if you got your sample, I'm going to throw another one. I'm not going to throw that one in. See if I can find. Give me a moment. I'm going to see if I can find a. We'll just use this one. Range. So in multi-slot, basically what it's going to do is you put one sample will correspond with key of C, and then the next sample will correspond with the key of C sharp. The next sample will correspond with the key of That's a weird sound I was experimenting with. So basically, as I add more samples to these slots, every key will have a different sound, up to 8 sounds. And again, you can set these up however you like based on what you want to do, although multi-slot is not the same as slice. So even if you got the transients, I don't think you're going to pull out any different transients because you're working with multiple samples. Then there's multi-pitch. That's terrible. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what this thing does in a nutshell. You can reverse the sample, you can loop it, and what's nice about it is you can loop. Let's see, this first sample is looped, the second sample isn't, but you can loop it. Yep. And so it looks like the parameters are different. Yes, for each sample. So that's nice that they did this in one device. So you can have 8 different samples, all doing different things. And if you're in the multi-pitch mode, you have up to 8 sounds. It's almost like running an NNXT, except for you're limited to 8 slots. But, you get to adjust the differences in, how you want that sample to behave. If you want it straightforward, you could do it like that. If you want it on a vocal level, you could do one like that. And if you want another granular, you could do it like that and mix and match it into these 8 different slots. That's pretty cool. That is going to give you a lot of flexibility in sound design. And mind you, you no longer have to, if you're trying to do drum breaks and chop up your samples, all you got to do now is drag the sample in and put it in this device, and it will find the transients for you, and you can go from there. So I think that's a nice addition for Reason 12 users. Better late than never, but it's a great addition for people who will, who will be looking at potentially upgrading. This sampler does a lot. And I think what makes them Propellerhead smart is that they didn't just decide, they didn't make a sampler that totally get rid of like a grain. It's very different from grain, and it has different features, because grain is more of a dedicated granular synthesizer, whereas this just has a granular setting. Yes, this has tape mode, and it has long grain mode, but between these two, you get into a different sonic territory, and it only has 1 oscillator. Here you get up to about 8. kind of like you're doing pigments. So there's that. That's pretty neat. You get your filters, you get some nice filter options, you get some nice noise options, even bit rate. That's pretty cool. This kind of gets into that battery force space where you can adjust your samples, however you want to. So I think this is a good look for Reason. I'm gonna say they should have came out with this. This probably would have been ideal, even sheesh, back in 2017. It would have been really dope had they just came out swinging and done this from the beginning. But more than likely, like anything else, they were trying to make that money and they weren't willing to get rid of recycle. I don't know who used recycle at that point in time, but they weren't ready to totally disregard it. And like anything else, even though they had some stuff that may have been innovative at one point, time caught up with them. But this is good, because you can do a lot with this one device, and you still got all the other samplers that you can use. Yeah, the only thing that I would say, no pitch detection, no key detection. For somebody like me, I don't need it. I can figure out the key of a note and figure out chords. That's not really a big deal. But for other folks, that could be like a deal breaker. But in my opinion, I'm like, hey, I think it's nice to have. I don't know if Ableton Sampler or even if Bitwig Sampler, I don't know if they have key detection or pitch detection right out the gate. It might just be done differently through this device here. And I don't know how perfect it will be. Anyhow, yes, thank you, Reason. I look forward to it when 12 comes out. I hope you do a bunch of other stuff under the hood that is needed. Now, if you are on the fringes about Reason 12 in general, or you're just looking at some other alternatives, boom, I got you covered. So, Tal Sampler is a great alternative for time stretching and one shots. You can even, with the right know-how, take, drum kits. This is a program that came with the Tal. It had been pre-programmed. So how do you do it? I don't know. It's a good question. Probably a sound font file, if not just straight up going through and layering these one by one. So I don't know, but it's in the program. But and this is just one layer, and it's going across all the highlighted keys on the keyboard. But you can also do single shots, you can do one shots, and what I mean by single shots is you could do wavetables. So if you got third-party wavetables from Serum, or you make your own wavetables, you could throw them in here, and once you loop it, you can have your own virtual synthesized instrument. You got these various resample textures to utilize. It's all gonna like change your sound to make it, dirty, cleaner, or whatever else in between. You got your, you got your filter, and you can set your filter to go through any one of the 4 slots. Got your envelopes, your LFOs, and so forth. And it comes in with built-in effects. This is nice just for like if you want those one shots and you just want to throw your stuff in and go. This is great for that. I'll go to the next one, Momentum, because Momentum is free. There we go. And Momentum will do tempo. As you can see, I got this already. And it's got effects, so you could throw your stuff in and get to work. Throw in a compressor, flanger. So there's that. When it's in auto mode, you throw your sample in, then you only get one key. I haven't played with the kit, but if you put it on slice, it'll find all the transients. So there's that. This is ideal again if you want to take samples, cut it across the keyboard. Kind of works in a similar manner like Serato Sampler. Let's see, what do we got going here? Slice mode. Yep, it'll find all the transients for you. Right now I'm in beat playback. Mode, loop, backwards, boomerang. Boomerang. And play forward and backwards. And you can adjust the timing. You can also adjust your pitch. I'm gonna go with, I don't know if you could do that in the thing itself, so I don't want to mess that up. I'm gonna slow it down here. Now I'm gonna open it back up. Repeat. I'm do random. Slice. So I don't want to go too far into that. This is one that I haven't really played with. But in terms of being able to take samples and chop them up and experiment with stuff in different ways, this is another one that does that. So if you're looking for a Serato Sampler-esque type workflow, this may be a good alternative, especially if you're someone that's not necessarily into the synthesis side of sampling. Man, try to say that 3 times fast. But yeah, if you're someone that's just into traditional sampling and break beats and not necessarily incorporating all the synthesis methods, Big Fish Audio's Momentum may be ideal for you, and it's free. The next one I got on here is Transfuser 2, and it's amazing. If you can catch this one on sale, you should get it. I'm just going to give you a quick example of why. So I got this here. All right. April Fools. Throw in another loop. So everything is in sync, even though we got stuff at different timings here, different BPM. It syncs in nicely with the sequencer of the DAW. But right here, this thing right here, Mario. And Mario can adjust the order of the chops, the levels, the pitch. It can reverse it, the filter, decay, the whole shot. I'm gonna leave it on reorder real quick. Change it up. Here we go. That's pretty neat. So there's that. Like that's pretty ridiculous. And yes, there are other, sequencer slicers effects that can turn around and readjust the order of your slices. But this, like, if you heard that, that was seamlessly. Like, it just made everything kind of flow together in a cohesive manner. And that's not always the case when you're messing around with loops and chopping up break beats. So if you're more of the type of person that favors a breakbeat, Transfuser 2 is for you. And yes, there's a synth in there. There's time stretch. There's all sorts of goofy stuff in Transfuser. It's probably one of the main reasons I never got Serato Sampler because of this. It is ridiculous. Last one I'm gonna show you. If you're just looking at alternatives, what am I doing? Come on. Slicer. There we go. I'm just waiting on it to load up. There we go. All right. I'm using a demo on this one, but here's another one. This is also good for messing around with drum beats and loops. Let's go back here. So yeah, it'll find the BPM already detected, 96 beats per minute. Project BPM. Let's see, slice editor. So you can throw in. I've never messed with this part before, so I don't know what it's gonna do. Uh-oh, check that out. Let's see, snap to grid. All right, so this has a sequencer, also has a drum sequencer, and I don't know what's gonna happen when I play this. Absolutely nothing, because I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. I have to sit down and really dig into this one and do another before I actually do in-depth like information on this one. But it is an alternative that if you are someone who really likes to chop up your beats and do different stuff, this is another way that you can get that done. This is about $100 right now, so there's that. They give you your options: sync to BPM, play to the end. Let's see what happens. All right, let's see what else we got. We got the main editor. You can stretch it, no change. Halftime it. Hey. Slows it down, you can speed it up. You got effects routing, the different racks, you got gates, pitch. So yeah, it's a lot of different stuff that you can do with this device as well. This is more for, again, like if you're into chopping up loops and spreading out, doing different things with drums, doing different things with samples. This is ideal. So these are alternatives that you could use if you're somebody that's like, man, I don't know about the Mimic. However, I will say for what you get in Mimic, there isn't a lot out there like it that can do what it does the way it does it. Your closest bet, like even in Ableton, you have your Sampler, which has 3 modes. It can do, playing back on different transients and chopping up your beats. It has different time stretch algorithms. Sampler can't will not allow you to play back more than one sample at once. You have to use Sampler for that. Sampler, I don't think has anything like it's. My understanding of Sampler for Ableton is that it primarily is for creating multi-sample libraries. I'm not sure if it has its own granular engine or not. I know Bitwig Sampler does, but this is it's different because it's a little bit more comprehensive. I would say, yeah, for what they did in Reason, this is good stuff. If you're not moved by it, there are other alternatives out there. Check them out. But as a native device in Reason, to have something that does deal with, working with breakbeats without messing around with converting stuff to Rex files or even having to open up recycle, and yeah, being able to have that time stretch algorithm for your one shots. I think this is a great addition to Reason. Should have came out sooner. They should have added BPM detection and pitch detection, but I think because it's a native device, I don't think it'll really matter the same way, because I would assume everything is locked in. All right, anyhow, that's all I got for today. Thank you for your time. If you watched this whole video, hopefully I provided you with enough information. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you don't like it, thumbs down. Either way, have a good day. Peace out.